Welcome to the Weekly Brew. I'm your host, Chika Moya. Imagine being held captive for over 400 days, only to return to a world where your family no longer exists. After more than a year in the hands of Hamas, 3 hostages have finally been released. Levy, Ohad Ben Ami, and Eli Sharabi. As you can see, they are in terrible condition, emaciated, hollow-eyed, and frail. Their haunting appearances are reminiscent of history's darkest chapters, like the Holocaust. In case you've been living in a box, Hamas and Israel have been at war for well over 400 days. On October 7th, Hamas and other militia groups in Gaza broke through the fence into Israel, massacring anyone in their path. They abducted 251 people. Some have since died, others remain in captivity, and now a few are being released drip by drip through a very fragile ceasefire. This conflict has been devastating. Thousands of lives have been lost, and let's be clear, Hamas bears responsibility for this destruction. They operate from tunnels, use civilians and areas as shields, and fight in disguise to maximize human suffering. Watching the hostages being released is deeply unsettling. Here, have a look. Isn't it interesting how the Hamas fighters have somehow finally rediscovered their uniforms? Meanwhile, the hostages look gaunt and traumatized. I can't even begin to imagine what they endured. There's something profoundly sick about the way this release is being staged. Crowds recording on their phones, treating it like some grand victory. But what has this war actually produced? Nothing but death. And then there's the eerie forced waving, hostages instructed to appear grateful. It's twisted. Am I the only one who finds this profoundly disturbing? Here's Levy being reunited with his family. If this doesn't move you, I don't know what will. Watch. Can you imagine being held captive by people who place so little value on human life, waking up every day knowing it might be your last, enduring constant mental and physical torture, never knowing if you'll make it out alive? your very existence reduced to the whims of a terrorist. Then, by some miracle, you're freed. The people you love most in the world are there to embrace you, a moment of pure, fragile beauty. But the reason I wanted to cover this story was because of Eli Sharabi. Hamas murdered his entire family, his 2 daughters, his wife, and even his brother. But they didn't tell him. Instead, they made him record a statement saying how excited he was to finally be reunited with them. This clip isn't in English, but you'll get the gist of it.
אני מרגיש מאוד מאוד שמח היום לחזור למשפחה ולחברים שלי ולאשתי ולבנות שלי. אני מאוד מאוד מקווה לראות אותם בקרוב. هذا هو الرهين إلياهو الشرابي.
Now he's been released, only to learn that his family is gone forever. Something about this story hit me deep. Imagine surviving over a year in darkness, clinging to hope, praying your loved ones are still alive, only to find out they were slaughtered. How do you even begin to continue with life after something like that? I won't lie, this story weighed heavily on me. There's so much cruelty in this world, so much darkness, and sometimes I find myself asking, like, what can we do against so much hate? We may not have the power to move nations, but we can play our part. We can take care of one another. It's the little acts of kindness we show one another that keep the darkness at bay. Just remember that. Until next time, ciao.